Shona, of course, the leaders are now leaving the summit, but tell us now ultimately, what is the mood as President Trump walked out of this press conference just minutes ago?
Well, I would say, Maria, that the point that John Bolton had made just there in relation to actually having a summit every few years rather than every year is something that leaders would definitely echo. I think they're sort of breathing a sigh of relief that this wasn't as bad as it could have been. The bar was pretty low. We know that Donald Trump came to Ankara castigating his allies, saying he's going to take over Greenland, and they would say this is actually very damaging, albeit of the fact, as you mentioned there at the start, that the declaration does commit an ironclad support of Article 5, the backbone of NATO. But if that didn't happen, then NATO would be over. So the bar is pretty low in that regard. I'd also make the point that they're breathing a sigh of relief because this morning, when we heard that the United States had launched strikes against Iran, they really thought this summit is going to be completely overshadowed by Iran, when it should be about supporting and defending the European continent, and in particular Ukraine. And I caught up with the Belgian Defence Minister Theo Francken, and I asked him about this piece specifically in relation to Iran.
He says we need to do more, but okay, he understands that we're doing this. You cannot build Rome in one day, so this takes some time. And then he had a lot of emphasis on Iran. So that was the Middle East for me is of particular priorities. Yeah.
So on Iran, we know that ceasefire that was fragile at the best of times is no more. What do you think the implications are now for Europe? Because one of the main concerns was that the world was distracted by Iran and not paying enough attention to Ukraine.
Yes, but they're always lying. The Islamic regime, that's a religious Nazi regime, they're always lying and cheating. That is what they do. So saying that they have a peace agreement, first thing that I was thinking is that they will never hold up into their in that agreement. So we'll see about how this is going, where this is going. I don't know if everything is broken now, but it keeps on being one of the main issues. Ukrainian support, we can count on Europe for Ukrainian support. But it's true that the United States is more focalizing on Iran and the Middle East.
And what would tell us a little bit about the conversation then you had with Secretary of War Pete Hegseth in relation to that? Because everybody's worrying about their oil prices, quite frankly.
Yes, of course. Everybody's worried about the oil prices. And also for Ukraine, it's not good that Putin gets too much for his barrel of crude oil. So that's also a direct link. But then again, when they attack gas, LNG ships, vessels, you cannot remain silent.
Turkish President Erdogan was looking for a couple of things out of this summit. Access to the F-35 program from the United States. And he really wants to get rid of this idea that there should be a European preference when it comes to the defence industry. That means the European Union. What's your own assessment of that? Is he right to look for those things?
He's right. F-35, that's not of mine business because it is an American product.
But are you happy for him to have them? Because the concern is that the Russian system that the Turks have, the problem is that it could be a security issue for NATO.
Yeah. I think that the Americans will not give F-35 to Turkey when there's a problem with their own security and with Russian threats. So.
And just finally then, Minister, tell us a little bit about what Belgium has committed to, particularly at the Industry Defence Forum. Also, could you tell us about what Belgium's plans are as part of the Coalition of the Willing in the Strait of Hormuz?
So on a Coalition of the Willing, we're there with Mine Hunter. It's ready to be deployed. We can also send other capabilities. So when we have green light, we will go. And second, on Industry Day, we signed 10 contracts. The biggest is air defense, NASAMS, Skyranger NASAM system, radar system, air defense for the first time in 20 years. It's a more than €3 billion contract.